All right, so league number 2, everybody on YouTube or live at twitch.tv/the_control freak. We just finished up a league with the Tide list, and we're making a couple little changes here. We swapped like the 4th counter spell for a Drown in the Lock, swapped the Squee to the board for a K command, took out the Kaito from the board. So we're going to run it back, see what happens. The biggest issues we ran into the first league was seeing non-blue sources with a bunch of counter spells. So hopefully the Drown in the Lock can kind of mitigate that a little bit. Squee was but we're going to give him another shot, see what happens. Why no Kroxa? Because we're heavy blue for Counterspell and Murktide. Like, we want to see blue sources pretty aggressively. We can kind of keep this. Some interaction. We can ThopterSword Shadow. Delicate. So I'm guessing this is Charbelcher. So let's get Ragavan down. Wouldn't Snapcaster be better with all these bolts in place of 1 to 2 shredders? Could be. But Snapcaster, like, exiling stuff from the yard in the face of, what's it called? Murktide is really awkward. How Spreading Seas working. Haven't played it in this little... Yeah, have not cast it in this list. So it is... I think I'm just going to pass with Spell Pierce and try to pierce the... What's it called? That one. Pierce that one. Okay, so that's a Charbelcher off the top exiled. Now we have a decision to make. If our opponent went for Iron Crag Feet, what's the hard cast on Reforge the Soul? 5. So they could have reforged, but more than likely they had a Charbelcher in hand. So I think ThopterSword is pretty likely to resolve. The question is, do I want to take a risk and try to iteration into another land in ThopterSword? Or do I want to, I guess, just ThopterSword? Oof. Double Charbelcher. Okay. Need no land out of them. That's fine. Maybe gonna get there. I don't know. There's 3 Charbelchers gone. Obviously, this would have been a lot easier if we could have just found lands. So, opponent's got 1 Charbelcher left in the deck. This goes to 9, so I think I'm just playing out Murktide and like making them have a kill here. Charbelcher. Charbelcher, and we never see a second land. Okay. Big Dragon Boy better than lands, right? So we want Fluster Storms. I want Dispute. Spreading Seas. Gui. EE's okay. I want to get rid of Bolts and Heats. And probably something kind of slow and iffy. Probably an iteration. The hope here is that like Squee or something is just a card that comes down and eventually wins the game. Spreading Seas can cut them off of colors. EE's not the greatest, but maybe we can take out tokens off of what's it called? Little 1 red, make a treasure. I like just played the card. Strike it rich. Or if we get a Ragavan on turn 1, then we might be able to EE for 4 and take out an actual Charbelcher. Mystical Dispute is bad mana leak. Okay. A lot of ways this hand can go wrong, but here we are. I'm just going to go ahead and try to get my filter here. I don't think that like making the Ledger Shredder a potential 2/3 is going to matter too much. I think it's like more important that I just find way more interaction. Well, if they don't play a second land, we're playing out a Ledger Shredder. For sure. But this could just mean that they have like Ritual, Ironcrag Feet, Belcher. Yeah. Maybe they've got Reforge the Soul. Not Reforge, Recross the Paths. Land? No. So close. And yet so very, very far. Are we really racing to find a land? Okay. It's funny. So I want to upkeep this K command. No, because they could have a ritual. So I want to do this now. But they could still have a ritual. You discard. Yep. God. All the rituals and the Belcher. So it was just like, if they drew the land, they kill us. If they made the first move, we had a chance, but... I feel like I'd rather have a hand with Ragavan and a counter spell. This is kind of dead. Don't really need the third lance. This is kind of like a mold of 5. Yeah, I think I'm going to... Way better. Let's keep this. Get rid of the spreading seas. Watch our opponent have a ley line. Take a mystical dispute. Some people might not appreciate bad mana leaks, but I am not one of those some people. Sure. Okay. I'm guessing they've got a, what's it called? The needle. Don't really want to draw a Ragavan, so let's just kind of filter over that. So we'll go Shadow to hand, Scalding Tarn to exile. Say go. Morphos is fine. What do we got? All right, so odds are pretty good that they've got like Charbelcher and Veil of Summer. They don't. Okay. Have ourselves a ball game, as the kids would say. Now, I am going to never tap off a double counterspell again. As soon as I say that, they're going to make me use a counterspell. That does mean I get to iteration, so that's like a plus. Shadow to hand. Scalding Tarn to exile. Shadow. Shadow. Go. What does Desperate Ritual do? Oh, they're just trying to play and activate Charbelcher right here. Woo! Get there over Charbelcher. So let's. I've got to update a bunch of these matches. So we beat Charbelcher. I got creativity already. We beat Yorion. Grixis Shadow on here. Grixis Shadow. And we lost to Scam. Grixis Shadow, Creativity, Scape Shift. What's the other one? All right. I assume piloting Belcher on MTGO is potentially the least fun way of playing MTG. Probably not wrong. All right. No companion revealed, Scalding Tarn. So I'm kind of assuming this is Murktide. Also, this basic swamp has just been the worst thing imaginable. Like, oh my. I cannot count how many times we've seen this basic, and I just do not want it. It looks so atrocious every single time. Do you think DRC is not in a good spot to play 4 copies? Well, what are you cutting for DRC? Like, usually when people make suggestions for a card that would be better, like, the card probably is good. I have no, like, I'm not saying DRC is bad. I'm just saying, like, what do you want less than a DRC? And that's the part I'm not sure about. Like, that's where I'm running into issues, is I've got a lot of these cards I want to cast, and just a lot of them, like, are here on power level. We'll see if we can bait, like, a, yeah. Okay. So let's take Teferi, play Ragavan. Guess if they're running Zeatora's Proving Ground, then they can Binding. I was thinking they wouldn't be able to Binding without fetching and shocking, and they couldn't fetch and shock unless they had, like, an Overgrown Tomb. Forgot that that is a card they can play. Basic Swamp looking so bad. Don't really like the Drown, but I totally agree that it's hard to fit them all in. So the Drown is like our test card this league. I don't know if it's going to be worth it, but might as well give it a shot. Counterspell this. Okay. Such a nutty and unnecessary card. Unnecessary words. Yeah, Leyline Binding's got, like, so much stuff going on for it. trade off Ragavan here. So we need to find like Thoughtseize Shadow. Is not going to do it. Like maybe if they think I have a third counter spell, they might not go for it, but or they just have another Leyline Binding. All right. Pickle's also such a weird card. 100% does not look Legacy playable, but here they are. Is it played in Legacy? Or is this one of those, like, it showed up one time in one Legacy deck once, so now it's Legacy playable? Also, for anybody that plays against these creativity decks more than me, are they just, like, off of the, are they off of the persist plan completely? Yep, as in there are decks playing Fable. And when we say decks playing Fable, we're not talking about like mono red prison, are we? That's not a real deck. At least in my heart of hearts, I'm telling myself it's not a real deck. Most lists are, the binding Rin lists are. Fair enough. I guess I assume they had to cut something for binding, but I guess they just like magically make more spots. But it can't be more than like a one or two of, right? Surely they haven't found room for like a whole play set of persists. I feel like the last, I don't know. Oh, it meant they're cutting it. Okay. Okay, that makes more sense. I was really concerned with where they were like finding room for all this stuff. Looks like there are some lists that are still heavy on persist. I just saw a list that had 3 and then one followed after it that had none. So, I don't know. Grixis Creativity is the only one that's still playing it, I think. So you're telling me there's creativity lists out there that aren't playing just like 5-color every good stuff? That is shocking. I think I'm just going to cast the Ragavan, not dash. So I think my opponent, like, fetched and shot thinking that they would be able to leyline binding and had that realization that they, in fact, could not. It's rare, apparently. I was, like, scrolling through goldfish lists, and it's just, like, 5-color stoop creativity all over the place. Who hurt y'all? Alright, so opponent's going to have access to leyline binding for dirt cheap. I will Flusterstorm this because I get a Ledger Shredder trigger. Bunch of Ledger Shredder triggers. Dispute. Alright. Assume they take Ragavan. So maybe we get punished for this. Looks pretty likely that we're going to get punished for this. If they just have, like, fetch land creativity and we don't find, like, land Thoughtseize off this iteration. Well, Spell Pierce is pretty good. I guess we'll take that. Alright. Fetch up basic. Put creativity on the stack. Ice me? Sure. Think you're supposed to let it go? Let the Spell Pierce go? I don't know, like, Iteration is such a good card to have resolve right there. And especially if they have the leyline binding anyway, then, like, Ragavan's not connecting and I'm just kind of, like, tapped out. But if I find any land that makes blue, I can still Flusterstorm. Or no, I Flusterstorm the Spell Pierce. I don't know. It's tough out here. Okay, are we drowning the locking a Wrenn? I could fetch and shock a Steam Vents and sack the Fiery Islet first. But Wrenn just turns into, like, a whole bunch of dwarf chump blockers for the Shadow. And I don't think that that's something I am interested in dealing with. Is Counterspell good in this list? It's pretty good last league. There were several times that, like, Drown the Lock wouldn't have countered what we wanted to, but Counterspell did. Have Veil of Summer. I guess they could. I don't think I've seen anything that just makes me say, oh yeah, they've got Veil of Summer. It's not like out of the realm of possibility. Mari command. They make a treasure. Draw 2, discard 2. Sure. Sack this so I get all of my mana on my turn. Thought Season's a pretty good draw. That's also a pretty good draw. Let's start with that one. Okay. What do I say? I'll go for that one. Oh, man. I think I have to ditch the Spell Pierce. Like, Spell Pierce isn't stopping a creativity anyway. But at least now, like, they have to chump block the Shadow. So I know they're not going to be able to untap, play a creativity, and kill me. Which means Counterspell gets better after this turn. Okay. Oh, man. Creativity is such a fun deck to play against, right? It's what the kids call the bee's knees. There's just like nothing I really want. I kind of view Terminate the same way I view like Unholy Heat against Scape Shift. It's like it kills a Titan or it kills an Archon, but usually once the Archon resolves, like the aftermath of the ETB effect is more than you can deal with anyway. So I'm not heavy on the idea of like bringing in kill spells for the Archon. But maybe one's better than a Spreading Seas on the draw. Even though Spreading Seas on a Zeator's Proving Ground does look pretty nice. Giving us the free 2 damage here. Thank you. We'll play out a Channeler here. Mystical Dispute's not countering anything unless it's discounted anyway. And then Spell Pierce is already 1 mana, so. Maybe they just don't have the bolt. Jockin, Stomping Ground, Pass. I mean, Prismari Command. I don't know what it means. To pierce this. And a Ledger Shredder. This swamp does really blow. It just seems like we've had it like every single game. I'm gonna fight over this. Just constantly, I have not wanted this swamp, and constantly I have drawn this swamp. But like, how much better would this be if this swamp were like a fetch land and I could just play out like a 5/5 Murktide and have Flusterstorm up? But I don't, because it's a swamp and it sucks. This is also the exact reason we don't play the basic swamp in the Dimir lists. It's just bad. Like, really, really bad. Take a drown. I'm trusting in this little, like, derpy ass 1/1 channeler to go the distance for me. Nope. Go away. Oh, please have another creativity here. Ooh. Fire. I want to fetch land. So many good draws we can have. Just give me one of them. You know what? We'll take it. 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 Go away. Oh boy. And here is a chunky Murktide. Nope, nope. I need to keep sorcery in the yard. So I need instant, 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 one sorcery. Hiya. Steam Vent sucks. So just everything in the mana sucks. Like, one of the reasons I really, really enjoyed old school Grixis Shadow with like Gurmags and Thought Scours and whatnot is your first two fetches were just 99% of the time Watery Grave, Watery Grave. And that got your entire deck functioning like perfectly. And then eventually you'd find a Blood Crypt or a Steam Vents or a third land. But you didn't need them for your deck to function outside of exactly like Teamer Battle Rage or maybe K Command, but that needed a third land anyway. But a lot of these iterations, like, you end up getting mana screwed or color screwed a lot. And I realize ours is taking that to the extreme with actual counterspell, but still. GDS versus Hollow One was the greatest matchup. That was a pretty fun one. Gurmag Angler v. Tassiger. Oh. Rift Bolt. That's a pretty good draw step, if I do say so myself. Oh, yeah. So let's take Helix. Opponent's going to point a Rift Bolt at my face. Always find the dude, like right when you don't want them to find the dude. Okay. So opponent's got Skullcrack, Fiery Islet. We can Steam Vents, play Shadow and Channeler. But I think we just tap Steam Vents Shadow. I think that's our play. Okay. So, Unholy Heat the Eidolon, we go to 7. Thoughtseize, we go to 5. We get to save ourselves like 1 point by thought seizing. Don't have a basic mountain in the deck, Thief. Otherwise, we probably would. And I don't think I can attack here either. I mean, you made the right line if we had the basic mountain, but give him like 1 draw step to draw a Boros Charm. Do they have it? All right, no. Bolt is fine. Kind of. Not really. So we could potentially draw into a Spell Pierce. So I think I want to go Shredder. No. Shredder. Attack with Shadow. Well, like, even if we had TBR, they shouldn't block because they're dead to TBR regardless. So blocking does, like, absolutely nothing. Now I'm going to do something. All right, Spell Pierce off the top. Not a Spell Pierce. But we'll hit you for a chunk and see what happens. We're going to bluff Spell Pierce with the best of them. Okay. Hold. Brothers, hold. You're going to upkeep. They're going to upkeep burn spell me. Yep. And the Boris Charm. All right. Not even going to let me see the counter spell. All right. We got Fluster Storms. Wasn't the BM, was that? No, that was correct. Like, if I've got the counter spell, it doesn't play around me having counter spell, but it does play around, like, doesn't play around Spell Pierce. It's just making me use my mana on my turn if I have it. Like, the play is correct. I think they should have just done it on their turn so that I couldn't actually have counterspell, but they don't know that I'm playing actual counterspell in my deck. But Drown in the Lock, I guess, would still be the same thing. Trim some Thought Seizes. Like a iteration. I don't have a problem with the line. They hesitated pretty bad on their turn, so it was probably obvious that they had a burn spell. Oh, man. That's culturally insensitive, so rolling is all burn players have. That's a very fair argument, actually. Even if you use all the mana up on your turn, they'd still be dead. They would be, but... What are you drawing? Everybody's favorite Boros Charm. Look how bad this basic island's looking. When are we going to learn to just play no basics in our Shadow deck? Oh. I'm down, OP. Heck yeah, free real estate. Love to see it. What was the next card? Expressive Iteration. Okay. I think I'm just getting rid of the iteration. God, Counterspell does exist. Fetch and Shock now to play around more. Skewer the Critics. Another copy of Death Shadow. Okay. So if that's the case... I guess I know I'm taking this Goblin Guide hit. So it's probably fine. can't even be nice and put like a Sanctifier on the stack. Hate to see it. Boros Charm me. Okay. Ironically, I would really like to draw that basic swamp like right now. Too much of a good thing. Too much of a good thing. Cycle Wraith, Battle Rage. All right, 3 cards in hand with the Sunbaked Canyon. I don't want to counter anything that doesn't say Boros Charm here. Be gone. And if they just have like another Boros Charm, probably wasn't winning. Deflecting Palm definitely in. No, Deflecting Palm's always in these decks. Like, burn players have got an unnatural obsession with Deflecting Palm. Just like, Deflecting Palm! Foaming at the mouth and everything. So let's start with an attack. Deflecting Palm. Deflecting no. It's not even that good. Dead so much of the time against so many decks. Like, I don't think a lot of burn players know that the absolute scariest hands on the shadow side are the ones where it's just like 2 land, 7 burn spells. Like, if you have a creature heavy draw, I've got a reasonable chance. If you've got a creature light draw, I've got a reasonable chance. If you never see a creature, I'm probably dead. But then the flip side of that is if they have a handful of just like, what's it called? Path to Exiles and Deflecting Palms and stuff like that, then that's fantastic. Like, cool, you got a bunch of spells that don't actually kill me. It was a lot different when Shadow only had like Shadow and Gurmag Angler as actual threats. So unless you had like turn 1 Thought Scour, turn 2 Gurmag Angler, you couldn't really like out pressure them. And you had to lower your life total to some extent to get Shadow online, and they could just like sandbag. But now there's so many good 1-drops and 2-drops that like playing a bunch of non-burn spells doesn't really equate. 2 land, 7 burn spells would be cheating. Well, on turn 2, they have played 2 lands, and now their hand is just 7 burn spells. How about that? Searing Blaze. You have double burn spell. You have double burn spell. Nope. On to game 3. Once played against a burn player, there's too scared to play Eidolon because he thought it would help me. I had a pretty funny one where I played against a burn player I want to say it was like an open in Dallas or something. And the guy just brought in like 3 Path to Exiles, 3 Deflecting Palms, 2 or 3 Rest in Peace, an Ensnaring Bridge, and something else. And just whiff for like 9 turns on finding a burn spell while I'm sitting here with like 2 Gurmag Anglers stuck in hand and a bunch of like Stubborn Denials and stuff. And eventually I just found a shadow, played it out, and he like lava spiked me for 3 down to like 2, and I hit him once with a shadow, untapped, countered a spell, hit him once with a shadow, and that was it. He just found so many absolutely dead cards. Hopefully he learned a lesson about overboarding that day. I agree. Like, we talked briefly about it, and he, I think, was under the impression that he was like a master in the matchup. And I just kind of told him, like, I think you might have a little bit too much in post board. Like, maybe just dial it back a hair. Doesn't have to be a ton, just like a little bit. But I don't know if you ever actually listened to that. Bolt me. So this is Sanctifier on Vec. Oh no, Searing Blaze. Never mind. Am I going to 8 to get a shadow down? Three cards in hand. I'm going to. I get a Lightning Helix cycle. Lightning Helix, blue-red, instant. Up to 3 target creatures gain flying until end of turn. You gain 3 life. Lightning Helix. Literally Blightning, but you gain 3 life. And Lightning Helix, red-white, but more white. Target player gains 3 life. You gain 3 life. Brightening Helix. Target creature deals 3 damage to any target. You gain 3 life. Pretty funny cycle. Also, Searing Blaze still in. A lot of times they'll leave Searing Blaze in now because of like Ragavan and Dragon's Rage Channeler, Ledger Shredder. They've got a lot more targets for it. Kind of hoping to bait a burn spell here. Goblin Guide. Okay. They're going to try to burn me out with a Bobble Trigger on the stack. Counter spell. I was a big fan of Lightning Helix because it makes them light and floaty. All right. GG's. Okay. 3-0 again. See if we can maybe convert this one. I'm a big fan of Enlightening Helix. not necessarily what it does, but it's just funny. Frightening Helix. Frightening Helix feels like it should be red-black. But then what would... Oh, green-red would be Mightening Helix. Target creature gets like +3/+3. You gain 3 life. Lightning Helix. That could be better. Lightning Helix should be Enlightened Tutor plus Bolt. Or just make it like 3 mana and Enlightened Tutor plus Lightning Helix. Like tutor up an enchantment, deal 3, gain 3. Just tack on that 3rd mana. It's fine. Nobody's questioning it. Also, Dark Stream, I missed your follow like 20 minutes ago. I apologize for that. I don't think the audio off the follows is coming through as loudly as it should. Non-blue source. Lightning Helix was almost draw 3, gain 3. I caught that in R&D, am I right? I think I'm just going to go ahead and get a Steam Vents and play Ragavan. Could be burn again. Not burn. Not burn at all. But we do have this main deck K command in hand, so that's pretty fun. Line binding. These games are going well. They're going all right. Like, I think we're winning a lot of games just because we have a bunch of powerful cards in the deck. But obviously, like, the mana is a concern. Some of the payoffs or whatever. And, like, it feels really bad losing to Scam or losing to Ragavan out of Scam when we got 7 1-mana interactive spells and just see none of them. That can produce white and insert Leyline Binding, profit. I hope you know the origin of the profit meme. All right, what do we play against round 2? Creativity again? Yeah. Update the spreadsheet. You can't blame the deck for that. I can absolutely blame the deck for everything. The deck didn't file my taxes on turn. Yes, collect underpants. Step 1, collect underpants. Step 2. Step 3, profit. Alright. I think we're in the market to unalive a shaman real quick. I think I want to bolt. There's a chance I can get this Unholy Heat online to, like, take out an Urza. I feel like it's safe to assume they're playing Urza to some capacity, right? Like, Goblin Engineer, go get Sword of the Meek. Den of Bauble. We'll just play Ledger Shredder. Not doing me much good in hand. So. Fake estate. It's free real estate. It's what it is against Goblin Guide. 100% free real estate. Beachfront properties all around against Goblin Guides. All right. Well, if my opponent does have the card Urza Lord High Artificer, I hope that they just like fetch shock and play Urza right here. So I can at least like Unholy Heat the Urza on my upkeep, get some value. Also, funny story. I was playing a league off stream yesterday with Hammer Time, just like messing around. And I got like 3 matches in and called it. I got like 3 matches in and I was playing against, I think it was like mono red, and realized that my list that I was running had 63 cards in the main deck. Like it was terrible all the way around, just awful, awful list. And I was just like messing around with stuff before I actually started. So I had like 63 cards in the main deck. Kind of want another land. And I just forgot to add in half the cards that I needed to be playing. And I lost some like really close third match. And I'm pretty sure the dude like came over and joined the Discord, the Control Freak Discord, and like checked out stuff. And I thought it was hilarious because I'm sure he thought I was like this complete scrub. And that, he's not wrong on that part, but. All right, what am I ditching? I kind of forgot I had the connive trigger here. So I'm just going to ditch the iteration. So counterspell to hand, mire to exile. Let's see what happens. Wait, well, where's the Discord? Yeah, it's right there. It's an exclamation Discord. You can join the Control Freak Discord and talk about Shadow or non-Shadow or whatever you feel like talking about. Do you think Spyro's bad in Rakdos Shadow? It's not bad. Like, it depends on the goal of the list. So, for example, with the way that I've been playing Rakdos, it's very much just like an all-in Shadow Scourge deck. Like, we're just trying to get low life, get a threat on board, get them dead. Honestly, Shadow of Mortality probably wouldn't be the worst thing over like Channeler or something, but ultimately the goal is just like get a threat on board, battle rage the threat, kill your opponent. But Spyro is really good if you're wanting to go into like the mid to late game. And if that's your plan, I would just like cut Scourges, maybe add an extra Croxa, cut like an Inquisition, a bad late game top deck. Cut the Wraiths, add the Baubles, find room for like Unholy Heat, stuff like that, and like really dig into that go to the mid to late game aspect. The problem's going to be when you try to mix too many identities at once. Like, oh, I want this to be an aggressive deck, but I also want to have like some mid to late game elements to it. And like, that's when you're going to find yourself in trouble. If that makes sense at all. Okay. What is my plan? Do I have a way that I can kill my opponent? They don't have blue up, so I'm assuming no metallic rebuke. I've got the mana and the cards to get a Ledger Shredder trigger. I can just attack with everything and see what happens. They'd have to put a Thopter on the Channeler or the Ledger Shredder. That's probably the best play. But I guess I can't kill them if they do that, because I can just sack the sword, gain up to 9. I can only do 8. So do I want to start with Murktide? Can I play Murktide and keep Dragon's Rage Channeler as a 5/5 or 3/3? 2 instant, 1 sorcery, 3/1, 3/2, 3/3. No. So if that's the case, let's just eat some dudes on in. Pretty surprised by that, honestly. So now do I want to K command, shoot the reflection, shoot the Thopter Foundry? Destroy 2 damage. Or I guess I can just let damage go through, because I'm not Alright, so destroy artifact, 2 damage. Make another Thopter. So now I have to play the Murktide. Alright, instant, sorcery, sorcery, and 1 more instant. Here's a big murky boy. Okay. I'm sure there's half a dozen cards I'm dead to, but like maybe I should have waited on the K command. But I think if they untap with the Thopter Foundry and just make like 3 or 4 or 5 whatever tokens, like I'm pretty done to that. I wonder why they wouldn't dash the Ragavan. Am I attacking with both? Forces a chump on the Murktide. No. Shadow. Oh boy. I guess if nothing changes, we can race the Murktide, or race the Saga. Attack with Murktide next turn. It's not like the worst spot to be in. Okay. So now are we attacking with both and force a double chump? I think yes. Now we'll just have like 3 lethal attackers. All right. I've got the card counterspell. I assume they've got like Metallic Rebuke and something. Because I think they missed a land drop and then played the Saga. I don't think they've had a chance to rebuke. So I really think they had like Metallic Rebuke and then a blank. Or whatever they drew into. Alright. Purse is good. Spreading Seas is great against Saga. Dress Down is really good. Maybe I want Mystical Dispute. It's good against Urza. If they're running like Thought Monitor, it's good against that. But I didn't see like Artifact lands or like Springleaf Drum or anything like that. Esper Sentinel, so I don't think they're running Thought Monitor. It does counter Thopter Foundry and Metallic Rebuke, which I'm assuming they're running Metallic Rebuke. So honestly, like any of those I can see coming in. On the draw, Ragavan's pretty meh. Chandler's pretty meh. Probably want Terminates over something. Don't want the hearse. How close is that? 2 off. Guess we'll just go like that. See what happens. Non-blue. Oh man. And even like on the mole, just into the basic swamp. Aggressively messing up everything. Oh, I hate that basic swamp so much. So very, very much. Basic swamp's rough. Steam vents is rough. Somebody suggested the Grixis Triome earlier. Matt, that might have been you. And honestly, like, I'm not hating the idea at this point. Like, maybe that is what I need. It's just a Triome to, like, do some sort of work towards fixing the mana in the first couple turns. Feels really bad with Shadow, but again, that could just be like where we have to be. All right, so drawing dead off the top. No, it's all falling apart. Mystical Dispute. Show me the Urza. Yep. Getting a kick out of this, like Urza always getting a 1/1 construct to get back the sword. Bruh. Just gonna take out the construct. Guess they're trying to decide if they want to crack Soul Guide. Okay. That is also fine. And we're going to find a fetch land. Fetch land. Fetch land. Needle on EE, sure. I'm just gonna hit their blue source or red source. Oh, we're destined to never find a third land. Do we mulligan this game? Yes. Mulliganed. We ditched the basic swamp. Maybe that was our downfall. Our hubris is coming back to destroy us internally. All right. Well, I guess on the bright side, we can at least play Shadow now. They exiled. Got him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just have like Urza spins for days. Odawara's fine. Is it Murk today? No, we're kind of playing Is It Splash Black Murk? No! No! Ugh. Man, if they whiffed there, I felt like maybe we had a little bit of a chance coming on. But oh, hey, look, a land. Here you go. Not going down without a fight. But yeah, Antis, we finished up the first league we played at 4-1. We lost game 3 of our trophy match, the 5th match of the league. We're currently 3-0 in this league, so get out of here, Spell Pierce. All right. We'll scoop the Thopter Foundry up the top. For anybody who doesn't know, Thopter Foundry and Urza with a Sword of the Meek available is infinite life and infinite 1/1 flying Thopters. You use the sword. Urza taps the sword for a blue. You sacrifice the sword to Thopter Foundry, make a token. The sword comes back untapped, attached to it. So then you tap it for a blue again, sack it again, bring it back. Every time you gain a life, make a 1/1 flyer. So you can just do that many times as you possibly feel is relevant. Unlicensors can interact with it if they have no other like non-token artifacts in play to sack. Like I kind of want Unholy Heat. Kind of don't. Kind of want Terminate. I kind of don't. Spreading Seas might be too cute with like they showed me Pithing Needle. Maybe I just want to go like all aggro instead. Since I showed them all of my hate pieces outside of Dress Down. Do something like this. Okay. This has to get Steam Vents, so I've got a lead on Watery Grave for the Thoughtseize. Their hand is okay. take the binding. Ooh. That wasn't in your opening hand. I've been duped. Think I'm just gonna have to. Now they've played Flooded Strand, I can't go for the Terminate. My hand is lining up a little awkward without that third land drop. I was really hoping to be able to hold up Counter Spell or Drown. But Esper Sentinel, I just can't give them the card draw of Esper Sentinel. Like, their hand is not great right now. I guess I could sack Spellbomb and draw a card if they want. Oh, into the Goblin Engineer off the top. Now we've got Thopter Foundry, 3 non-token artifacts to sack. Engineer goes and gets the sword. This is really feeling like a case of us missing that third land drop and them kind of hitting some pieces on curve that really fill out their hand. Maybe we can find a way to power through this. Sack the Esper Sentinel. I guess they do just have like Otawara. Well, not Otawara, but they have Spellbomb. I think the only way I've got a chance is K Command. Like, I feel like I had all of the interaction in the world for, like, Goblin Engineer off the top. But definitely not all the interaction in the world for uh, Esper Sentinel into Goblin Engineer. Sanatotor coming in with the raid. Thank you so much. Hope you had an awesome stream. We are currently in the middle of getting Thopter Foundried out, so unfortunately this game for us is going to be over pretty quickly. Yet another time that TBR would be a good pickup. But for everybody coming over and the raid, thank y'all so much. Hope y'all are having an awesome Thursday. If you don't know me, my name is Michael, or Control Freak on Magic Online. Play a lot of Modern, especially a lot of Death Shadow. Today we're messing around with some Grixis with counter spells and Murktides. And a very rude opponent who's seemingly got a little bit of everything. All right. But we are 3-1 going to match 5. Last league, we ended up 4-1. We lost our trophy match, game 3 of our trophy match. So, deck's not doing too bad. You can hit exclamation deck list in the chat if you're wanting to see the list. Otherwise, stuff. Also of note, Basic Swamp and Blood Crypt have been abysmal, and they've been showing up just constantly. So, do with that information what you will. Fire and Ice action. I guess I'm down to Dash or Ragavan and Thoughtseize. Been on Oxyvagonus Jund today, and honestly, it wasn't terrible. What were you replacing for the Oxes? So this Thoughtseize is going to get Channeler up to a 3-3. So I think I'm just going to take Spell Pierce. BBs or Croxa. I mean, I guess it does fill the same slot, just as like a late game value engine. And if you don't have much other stuff that cares about your graveyard, it's probably not that difficult to get Ox back. All right. That's a pretty chunky boy. Just going all in on them. And I'm just going to throw down a Murktide here. Am I throwing down a Murktide? No. As much as I want to, I don't think I can really afford to shrink this Channeler in the face of like Ren down ping, second Ren down ping. Probably have to after this, right? I guess we can see like what we flip over with Channeler. That would be a creativity. Let's go 1, 2. No. Land, artifact, instant, makes it a 4/4. Guess we're just gonna have to keep it as a 4/4. But there's no way to do it and keep Channeler Delirious. Three, four, five. 1, 2, 3. Yep. So if that's the case, we're just gonna get down a bigger Murktide. Hope they don't have like land plus Ren Ping plus creativity. But I don't think I was beating a creativity anyway. Yep, so they got it. They don't have it. Way to make me sweat, opponent. Way to make me sweat. Got Flusters, EE, Mystical Disputes, maybe Spreading Seas. Board out some of this cheap interaction. 8 commands, not great. Might as well cut Squee. The Squee that's already in the sideboard. The Squee that I just, like, don't know what we wanted against. That Squee. Meant from the sideboard. I mean, if I could find like a redeeming quality for Squee, I'd be okay keeping it there. I just don't know, like, I feel like I've brought up the Squee a lot, and I have yet to get an answer from the Squee supporters as to like when you actually want this card. Like, what is Squee actually good against? Not just like acceptable, because there's plenty of just acceptable cards. But like, what is Squee actively like? You want this card against what? That's what I cannot figure out with the card. Like, I just can't come up with a matchup where Squee is like, this is the thing I want to be doing post board. And yeah, like every matchup seems to be, oh, Squee's good if you've got, or if you want to be a little bit better against like a bunch of interactive pieces or whatnot. And it's like, if I want to be better against interactive pieces, then isn't Kroxa just like better? What makes Squee better than War Boss or Rabble Master? No idea. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But like, it's almost a daily thing. I swear to you that people are asking about Squee. Like, have you tried Squee? Where's Squee in the list? Squee's so good. And I'm just trying to figure out like what makes it good because I just haven't seen it yet. All right, so they're like really hoping that this Fable hits something. Don't like that it has to attack to get the goblin. Seems the others are better since they can stay out longer. Right. So like Squee doesn't attack well into literally anything, right? And we kind of saw that earlier against Grixis Shadow, which should be one of the matchups that we want Squee against. Like a grindy, mid-range, recursive threat that dodges spot removal. But kind of what happened was we got Squee out and just like did nothing. Like we got Squee out onto the battlefield and we attacked in once and then they played a dude. Then we had to like trade off a Squee plus a removal spell to kill that dude. And they got another dude and then Squee had to like suicide in to make a token. And we had to throw away a whole bunch of stuff to get Squee back online. And I just like wasn't sure what we were accomplishing from any of it. All right. So like we were tapped out last turn. Our opponent didn't have a creativity. So I'm kind of just banking on them not having one this turn. If they do, they do. They had to have just top decked it. Jay Halbs, what's up? All right, so let's go attack in with a single shredder. I think I'm doing this how I want to. Attack in with a single shredder, and I'm just going to play like a big Murktide and hold up double Flusterstorm. So 1, 2, 3. Say big Murktide. I guess it's not really that big of a Murktide. He's big enough to be a one-shot kill. That's the important part. And we're just going to hope that in some manner this is enough to get there. Watching you kick some behind. Trying to. Actively trying to. So that last match was an Urza deck. I don't think I have a spot. I should have a ThopterSword spot. Guess I don't. ThopterSword. The way to win that matchup used to be like Plague Engineer or just cheese out with a quick shadow. All right. Prismari Command. I would like to attempt to tap you out. I guess I'll have 1 mana open. important thing is I just want to get them to tap down on like any mana that they've got available. Now do I want to go for the second Flusterstorm? I don't think so. I don't think there's anything I can't deal with the Flusterstorm. Like if they ditch an Archon, land persist, I've got that covered. If they they have Lightning Bolt, Veil of Summer. No. Block. Still got a land. So they did pitch Archon, which is pretty funny. This has got to be a... What? Post-combat. What's it called? Post-combat creativity. So block. Block. I believe we've got this one. As long as we do not discard Flusterstorm to our connive triggers, I think we're okay. So ditch a dispute, ditch a channeler, Flusterstorm. Don't want that. Don't want that. Okay. Back-to-back 4-1s. Pretty good for the deck, surprisingly. What do we think? The non-blue sources hurt my soul so much. Like having Counterspell in the deck and just finding basic Swamp and Blood Crypt over and over again felt so bad. I could very well see an argument to just cutting the counterspells for the Drown in the Locks and keeping the Murktides around. I think Murktide won us significantly more games than Giganta in the sideboard has. So I don't hate the idea of just like losing the Giganta, adding the Murktides, and going that route. And if that were the case, Counterspell was really good, but the mana to support Counterspell just might not be there. I don't really know what... It might be like a 3-2 split of Drown to Counterspell or something. But there were several times that Counterspell was able to hit something that Drown in the Lock would not have been able to. But there were also times against like Scam where if it were Drown in the Lock and we could kill like the Ragavan that came down, then that would have been 10 times better. So it's a lot of hit and miss. The next configuration I'm probably going to try out is going to be no K command, a 3-2 split of Drown to Counterspell. Probably something close to that. The mana base, I really don't know if you can tweak it anymore. Maybe Mana Leak would be better than Counterspell just for the color intensity. I know that was a suggestion someone made earlier. But I still stand by the idea that like counterspell is just so good as the game progresses. Like after turn 4, 5, 6, where mana leak really dies off, you're just kind of hoping that you'll have them dead by that point. But I think for me, I've gotten to the point where I can say, in my experience, nose is itching like crazy. In my experience, Murktide has been better than Giganta. So I would rather have Murktide in the deck than have Giganta as a companion. Maybe cut the swamp. You could if you just want to like lose everything, or cast ability on all those black cards to Blood Moon. I'm not personally comfortable with making that cut. I still want to be able to like play through a Blood Moon. I might not be able to win, but all that Blood Moon's cutting out right now is these. So I feel like I can reasonably fight through a resolved Blood Moon. But again, my plan is to, like, in most games, not let Blood Moon resolve. But once you get to a certain point, it's kind of free to play around. Candyman, thank you so much for the follow. Hope you're having an awesome Thursday wherever you're at in the world. Squee, I think, is going to be a pretty quick cut. Spreading Seas is okay, but I probably see like some number of these getting cut. I don't know what for just yet, but I think ultimately they were on the weaker end of the sideboard chain.